All right, sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to try to do a microphone. We usually have a headset or a lapel mic, but I'm going to try this today. This is brand new. We'd like to thank the Thomas County Community Foundation for the new wireless microphone and the Wilks receiver. And then we have a headset coming too. So it just hasn't come because of delays, but it should be coming this month. So I thought I'd use this and say thank you to the Thomas County Community Foundation and see if I can use a clicker and a microphone at the same time. See if I can be coordinated. All right. So welcome to Book for Lunch. January 4th, 2022 is another exciting. Okay. So this month we'll be talking about How to Change and a few other books. And it's by Katie Milkman. And don't make a joke about her last name, so you already did. But anyway, I will talk about that in a few minutes. In February, which is 2/22/22, so remember that. Tom Payton came to me. I was looking for someone to do February because it's winter months. I have trouble finding people. And I said something to him. He says, yesterday, he said, I wrote a book a few years ago. It was pretty small, but I did write a book on 3 kings, or some of the kings in the Bible. He said, can I share it? I said, no, Tom. I said, yeah, why not? You've written a book. He says, I have a few copies left. I didn't even donate one to the library. I said, well, just bring the books and do a discussion on them because he's very insightful, very thoughtful, and I thought that would be a great one for February. So that's what's happening next month. And then in March, 3/2/22, I'm sorry, Donna Henry is going to share a book review, and I believe it's going to be American Dirt by Janine Cummins. Unless, of course, she decides to change, but as of today, that's what she's doing, American Dirt. Okay. And then save the dates for National Library Week. It'll be the 4th through the 8th. There may be a few changes in National Library this week, but until we get the schedule and talk with friends and kind of get together on their schedule and our schedule, we won't know exactly what we're doing. So I'll get some more information, but it's the 2nd week in April, which is actually the 4th and 8th. Okay. We do not plan on having chocolate, all that jazz because of COVID. That's just the way it is. Too many people, too much stuff going on. I don't want people reading on the food. You guys get it. So, and I can't get the band. The band is supposed to be doing some competitions and doing being at the a basketball game or something. So they're not available. Okay. And then I will do a book sale either in February or March. Again, it goes back to what we're doing with the friends on the murder mystery and things like that. All that is kind of contingent on what day we put the murder mystery and how it's going to be put together. Okay, so we're still working on that, and hopefully this month will come to an answer. Okay, story time, of course. You can bring your little ones who visit you. Our PML book club meets the first Monday of the month, and we are reading Lost Names, Book of Lost Names. It's a World War II. It's about a librarian who goes back to Germany to find about Book of Lost Names that she knows about. So it's great intrigue. And then we have our ESL classes, of course, if you know somebody who needs to speak to study English. We have started them already, 6:30 to 8:30. And then, of course, if you have a little one, you can always Facebook or do something on your phone or on your tablet, and you can read your grandchildren 1,000 books before they get to kindergarten. And Judy will show you how to do it. And Diane's sister, she does that with her grandkids, and they're almost to 1,000 books.
So one is
okay. So it's really popular, and it's easy to do. Okay. Our youth activity center is open from 3:30 to 5:30 daily, Monday through Friday. School's not here at 1 to 5. And so if you have kids visiting, they can come down. Our science fiction book club is the first Sunday of the month. I'm not sure what they're reading this month. I know they did Dracula last month. And I said, You need to make a better book than that, but that's okay. You get to choose whatever you want for December. So they loved it. That was fun. And then our poetry group meets the third Thursday of the month at 2 o'clock up in the meeting room. And there's a bunch of us, and some of us actually write poetry. If you know Rich Hawkins, he writes a lot of poetry, and it's really inspiring to hear his work monthly, to see what he's written. And he's taught a lot of us how to do it and how to think. And when you get a thought, put it in your phone and write it down. He's really helped a lot of us get better at poetry. And we have a writer's club, and they first and third Tuesday of the month, and they meet upstairs. And then remember, booklet is available for you. So let me just tell you, this book right here, which I will tell you a little bit about, I have it on my booklet account right now. There's a lot of books that you can get on booklet. I didn't look at this one. And some things will be on Sunflower if they buy them. Not usually nonfiction, usually a lot of fiction books. Okay, they'll be. And then remember, you have no cards if you want to send those to friends. And it's a friend's fundraiser. And then, of course, remember, if you want to find out if we're open, the first place we will get it is on our Facebook page. Just because that's so easy just to post. Hey, we're closed because of weather. And we're going to have a lot of weather tonight, probably. So, you know, if it's too bad, we might delay open, and we'll put it on the Facebook page. All right. So, February next month, we're going to have a blind date with the books, and Andy upstairs is wrapping books just for you, so you can take out a book that's wrapped up in brown paper and read something totally out of your genre, and you can find out whether you like it or not, and then you get to turn in a book report or a little note on it. Okay. So that's all the announcements today. I know it's a lot, but I just wanted to let you know for the first year. Okay. So now I'm going to read to you a couple little things. This is a dictionary for women. Okay. Grocery list. What you spend half an hour writing, then forget to take with you to the store. Hairdresser. Someone who was able to create a style you will never be able to duplicate again. And then hardware store. Similar to a black hole in space, if he goes in, he isn't coming out anytime soon. I like that one. There's a couple others. Okay. In his class lecture, a linguistic professor was explaining the double negative. In English, a double negative forms a positive. In some languages, though, such as Russian, a double negative is still a negative. However, he pointed out, there is no language where a double positive can form a negative. A voice from the back of the room piped up, yeah, right. I can't begin to say that without reading it. And then I'll be gone. I think I'll leave the rest for another day. All right, let me close this up, and I'll get you my new one. Okay. So, today's book, How to Change by Katie Milkman, was kind of, it seemed like it would be kind of simple, and yet there were a lot of studies in it, a lot of things that she wrote. She is an engineer. She was studying her PhD in engineering, and she did a lot of things regarding people's habits, the way they change. So it wasn't just tinkering with mechanical things, but also doing statistics on how people change and how things are affected by what. So it was a whole bunch of studies in this book, and I'm just going to guide you through some of them. She had other people that helped her. And the first thing they tell you is that self-control, or lack of self-control, as my husband was saying. And some of my staff said I didn't have enough words, okay, on my PowerPoints. I can't write all the words on the PowerPoint because then I have to They won't fit in if you do 32, font, or 32 font. So sometimes if there's a word missing, put it in there, okay? So self-control or lack thereof is a key to the obstacle to behavior change, causing both impulsive and procrastination decisions. And we'll discuss some of that. So how in the world can you change? What makes it the easiest? They've done a study. They found a new job, a new home, marital status change, single to married, new season in life, in your marriage, new season in your life, and just in general, a birthday, an anniversary, a new month, a new year, or a new season, or a life-altering event. Those all will help you say, at this time in my life, I'm going to make a change. Whether it's a workout, whether you want to change the way you eat, whether you want to stop, I need to drink less. Let me put it this way. I need to drink more water so I can drink the coffee that I like. I don't intend to give up coffee. I intend to add something instead. Okay? Just so you know. I've gotten that drastic yet. Okay. How do you change? So the author had an experience where she was taking her PhD class, and she went from class to home. And of course, like us all good library users, she liked to read after her classes. So she'd sit down and read James Patterson and John Grisham and all these things. And she found that her grades were going down. She also found that all of the things like coding and things where she had to use her mental acuity, she wasn't doing as well. She knew she needed to work out. She knew that if she worked out, her mental acuity was better. So she complained to her husband and said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he says, well, dear, you're an engineer. Why don't you use your engineering degree and your philosophies of engineering to figure out what to do? So she said, oh, okay. So she looked at her life and she decided that she would go from class to work out, but she would only allow herself to read her books if she was working out. So then she got her mental acuity, her exercise, and her books, and then her grades went up, and her scores went up, her health went up, and she got to listen to everything she wanted to. So there's a thing for you. You can also listen to books, or you can read them, put them on the bookshelf in your bicycle. I like to do that. Get on the bicycle, pick a book up, and read it. Sometimes I have to compete with Santa to do that. I want to read when he wants, and use the bicycle when he wants to. So we have to switch up with that. They did a study and they found that if you told people that they could come to the gym and you gave them music or a book to listen to or something that they could do and read, provided it for them, and you only provided it for them at the gym, the use and their exercise would increase by 55%. So the hint is what you love to do. How can you do that? So let's say you want to cook healthy food and you like, but you don't want to drink much wine. So you say, oh, I want to drink wine when I'm making healthy food. I'm not allowing myself to drink something or have something unless I'm making healthy food. Or I can have a piece of chocolate, while I'm eating something like that. You could listen, say you like to scrapbook, but you really want to do something else, or you have something you have to listen to. So maybe your health insurance company decides that they want you to listen to some podcast or some instruction. So what you do is you turn it on, you listen to it while you're scrapbooking. Choose one. Like me, drink water before coffee. So every morning I get up and have more water. And when I go for lunch, I drink more water before I make more coffee. And this is actually half and half, half decaf, half regular. And then purchase something for an achievement if you do something. If you get up to walking 5 days a week, then go find a new pair of tennis shoes if you haven't already done, you know, something. And then, of course, we have to remember, eat our vegetables before our dessert. That's a simple one. But that's kind of some of the rules she said. I want to give you a little thinker for you baseball lovers. So if you're a major league baseball player and you have a really high scoring, like your batting average and things like that, if they move you out of the league, you lose on your scores. And that actually depresses and makes people depressed. But if you stay within the league and keep your scores will go back up. But they found the person that's moved out of the league struggles to get back up there because it's like, oh, I have to start over again. And then on the upside, though, if you're in a slump, but they move you outside the league and you get a new number, you have a chance to start over again. So just remember, if you've been doing well on something and you have a slump or you have something that makes you stop doing something, you have to start over no matter how you feel and say, okay, I wasn't there. Find a reason to start over or give yourself the, start over with the same number or the same something and make it so you want to do it again. We've kind of been affected by that in the library because we were doing really, how many things we had going with all of our programming and stuff, and COVID hit. As Judy says, this little piece of cloth has kind of stopped us from doing a lot of the things we're doing, and it's kind of discouraging. So we're having to look at how do we keep ourselves encouraged, doing the things we're doing, finding the things that we can still do, and move forward. So we're trying to take that advice ourselves, realize what it is that's causing us to feel like we're up against a wall, and finding things that we can do. And so I would say that use that upside and downside and recognize again. And that was one of the things you said in the book. You have to recognize who you are, what's good for you, and what makes you happy, what you love, what makes you succeed. So, and along with that, you have to realize that if you set a goal, interruptions in your schedule, your workload, getting sick, vacation, family visit, or I say the first Monday of the month sometimes, you just get tired. Acknowledge you got tired, and then get back up and do it again. Or change it up. Maybe you're bored with whatever you're doing. Is there some way you can change that to make it more interesting for you again? And then the nudge. This is a really cute story she tells. So, Julie Andrews and Mary Poppins. Well, Mary Poppins was asked to do, not Mary Poppins, Julie Andrews was asked to do Mary Poppins. And she looked at the music and things and she said, I'm not doing this with this song written the way it is. It's horrible. So they sent the song back to the writer and said, fix it. And he's at home trying to fix it. And he's not getting very far. He's not getting encouragement. And his son comes home from school and he looks at him and he says, hey, Dad, I got a vaccine today. And the father says, gee, your arm must hurt, huh? And he says, how are you feeling? He says, great, because they put the medicine in the sugar. And so from that story with his son, he wrote the book, A Spoonful of Sugar Makes the Medicine Go Down. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? So when you're trying to make a change, find the sugar cube, the lump of sugar in your life that can help you make small little gains so that eventually you have big gains. So the next time you're trying to make a change, just hit that. Or, spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, and just sing that to yourself. Something like that's going to help you. So she says big payoffs aren't enough. So if you've made this goal at the end of the year, you need to have smaller little gains, little check marks. Okay. If you're trying to save money or do something, small little investments, like if you put money away for Christmas, instead of waiting till the end of December and say, oh my God, then go to your bank and put $5 away, or $10, whatever you can afford, $7, whatever it is, and tell them to put your Christmas gift bank account away, and then in December you have money. Or you can spend it, you probably tell them when you want the money, okay? The same with investing, most of you know that, but if you don't, that's a good way. So gamification is actually using apps to help you do things and have fun, you know, with your exercise or your other stuff. Some of you use them on the phone someday. Problem solved with others, you know, that know something about the problem. And then this was for others who are in business. People want recognition. They don't always want money. They just want attaboys, okay, for change. And then if you're trying to nudge somebody or yourself to change, your work assignment, your environment around you, a room, you know, and so if you're supposed to be doing something and your room is just kind of depressing, then open the curtain and put a fresh coat of paint on it or something. Change something. Even just move a piece of furniture, you know, or a couch or chair or something, so that it makes it a change for you. It doesn't have to be big, she says. It just has to be something that makes you feel a little different. Okay? Now, I have a question for you. Are you a naive? So, naive. Okay, a naive is someone who thinks that they can make all kinds of commitments to change and do something and be totally successful at the time. And basically, you're a person who's very overconfident. But if you know who you are, and you know you have issues with change, then you are a sophisticate. Isn't that exciting? So, what she says is just be honest with yourself. Boy, I am naive. I think I can do anything, but I screw it up every time. Acknowledge it. And then you use some of these tricks to make you be better. And if you're sophisticated and you know that you need some kind of help, then you'll use them. And recognize your limits. Recognize if you're cynical or you know, if you're positive. I'm a little cynical when they tell you to wear a wristband and say, this will help you, or they tell you to make a pledge like drink water instead of Coke or coffee. That is, no, I am not taking the pledge to do that. I'm just not. I'm not a real pledge person. I might pledge to myself, but I'm not going to pledge to you. But if you like that and it works for you, go for it. Okay? So procrastination, what helps? There's some really fun things that I learned. Hard commitments and soft commitments and smaller commitments. You create a commitment device is what she calls it. So hard commitment is you say, okay, if I do this, if I don't do this, I'm going to give $500 to a charity or $50. And you make it hurt. And if you don't do it, then you give it to them. So I told people yesterday when we were talking about this, I didn't give them the same presentation, but a little different for employers and employees. I just said, just if you don't make the goal, then you can just give the money to the library for the expansion. Okay, I'll take it. I'll even help you set one up. Same again with savings and investment. Kids learn from if you give them an option. Finish an assignment and you tell them, give them an option when they can get the assignment turned in, and say if they don't get it turned in when they say they're going to get it, they lose a grade. That actually works really well, better than mandating it. And then another thing you can do is say, okay, if I don't get this done, I can volunteer for some charity and take 6 or 8 hours and go do something. Now, if you like the charity, that's great, but maybe you don't like to go to meetings or, you know, whatever. I'm not going to tell you what, it's not nice. Okay? And then you want to perform some unwanted task. You can do that with your grandkids if they come to visit. You know, get a goal that they're going to pick up their bag, and if they don't, then they have to do the dishes. That's what we always have to do. So these are the websites for cash commitments. There's a reminder and a stick K. You can set up a group or a group of you are going to do something and commit to something, and then you can say, I'm going to give so much money, or you're going to do something like, you know, work for a charity or something. And this one is just by itself. And people are actually doing that. They're actually doing that to make change. And then small commitments are like, sign the pledge. Just like I said, I don't mind, but you might like it. I know lots of people that signed up for the water pledge. I'm like, go for it. And then coaching or getting someone to help you. I know some coaches when they're trying to do exercise, you get somebody to help you when you start. And even if you need them once a month to check on you, it's very important. Or you get a friend to go walking with you. You know, if you want to take, if you need to walk with a friend. Not only does it make it more enjoyable because you talk, but it's safer and you have a commitment. And then, like I said, smaller amounts you can save each during the year. Okay, forgetfulness. Here is something that everybody needs to remember. So don't forget this. So forgetfulness is normal. It is just normal when you're talking about change, okay? But she's talking about things like voting or one-time events or things that you have in your schedule and darn it, you forgot, you know? So what helps is, the reason you forget is because it's outside your normal routine. And somebody stopped by or some crisis happened, and you had to go somewhere and you just forgot. And you get too busy to remember. So how do you remember? How do you get people to remember? In voting, what they do is they call you up and they say, so, where do you vote? When are you voting? Who are you going with? What time are you going? What day? And how are you getting there? So they talk to people to find out the specifics about what they're doing. And when you do that, either with each other or a friend, say you want a friend of yours to go to Bible study with you, you want to remember. So remember, I'm going to pick you up on Tuesday at 7 p.m. and I'll drive you and we'll be back at such and such a time. You've just given them a cue-based planning. So they remember. Same for voting. You can use it for anything, getting to church or getting to a meeting. That helps the most. So they also found this, if you're a ballet or something, find something that people do, like you just put your seatbelt on. If the valet walks up and says, opens the door, hands you the key and say, don't forget your seatbelt. Almost giving the seatbelt to you, not quite. That will help them remember. So if there's something you need, say you have somebody who likes to throw things on the floor as they walk into the house, you can say, gee, here, remember, put this away, hang this up, do this, go feed the animals, or whatever it is. Hand them the thing and have them go do it. And eventually they'll remember. That's all right. So you say, oh, I'm lazy. Oh my goodness, I'm lazy. I'll never get this done. I'll never remember. So what they found was you take the path of least resistance. So your savings account, you get it automatic. You pay a bill automatic. Or so the hospitals found that the doctors always prescribe brand names. And they were just, in the insurance company in the hospital, they were just horrified at the amount of money they were spending. They wanted one of the doctors to give them generics. So the tech person put in a little checkbox, choose the generic first. And that actually saved them 80% of the costs in 1 month. So, on the other hand, you need to make sure that and realize that the doctor probably has that. And if you want a brand name, you need to make sure you tell them, I want a brand name, I don't want a generic. And because that's the first thing you're going to go for. So some of this might be in how to change. Some of this information might also help you later realize how things are being done and why they're being done and how they're affecting you. Okay. So she says, set it and forget it. I don't like to pay my bills, set it and forget it. I like to write money in the bank and then pay it. I don't recommend that. I'm just not. Some people are even like, you're stupid. But I'm just happy. If you ever had a computer glitch in your bank account, yeah, you're a little careful. Okay. Other thing you want to do, like we said, piggyback on your behavior, muscle memory. So the more you do something, the more often you'll remember to do it. And then habits. If you do something regularly, you're more apt to remember it. But if you have a schedule change, you have to be flexible enough to be able to make that change mentally and not get off the horse of, of whatever you're doing. And then another thing you'll learn is that if you do something 8 times or more, say they found out that if they invited people to the gym 8 times and gave them some exercises and things, those people were more apt to do the exercises and come back than if they just had 1 or 2 visits. So the more you do it, the better off you are to be successful. And then of course, track your change, track yourself so you can be encouraged. That's why the health companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield have your walk 6,000 steps or 5,000 or 10,000, and they let you know that you're doing it and give you categories for it. Sometimes they give you money back. I don't have that, but my husband does. Okay, confidence. The way you think about something is probably the way it's going to end up. And I'm reading this book called Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. And I haven't finished it yet, so I'm about halfway through. And she's talking about the difference between your mind and your mind and your brain. So they're the same, but they're not the same. Because your mind thinks and has processes. You have conscious, unconscious, and what she calls a non-conscious. And that's kind of where you got all your self-talk. You're thinking through all these things. And she actually does studies with brain scans, and you can tell whether you're having positive or negative thoughts and how they're affecting you. And so she's showing and helping people with 5 steps on 5 simple scientifically proven steps to reduce anxiety, stress, and toxic thinking. So on this one, what she says is what you're expecting and thinking often comes true, and it causes problems in your body and your mind. So I would also suggest this book soon, as soon as I finish. And then if you're struggling on something, and maybe you don't have anybody else around right now, but you're struggling, turn that question around and don't say, what would I do? But think of the person who's giving you really good advice, or your best friend, and say, what would she say to me? What would so-and-so say to me if you did this? Some of you might say, okay, well, if you're a spiritual person, you turn to spiritual matters and ask that next question. What would Jesus say? What would he give advice for? But it's always just turn it around and get it off your shoulder to give it to someone else, and it gives you clarity to see better. And then, of course, a mentor or trainer. Another thing that we have to remember, and I have to remember that, is if somebody asks you advice, give it to them. But if they're not asking you for advice and they're just telling you something and they just want to get it off their shoulder, they just want to share it with someone, be a friend, I need to tell someone, don't give them advice, because it can be considered criticism by them, because all they really want is you to listen. So unsolicited advice is maybe implicitly seen as criticism, okay? And then when you're trying to change, allow for emergencies or mistakes. They're going to happen, and you're just going to have to deal with them. And then another thing she says, if you say you have a friend and you know they're working hard on something, walking, doing something that they really struggle with, and you've noticed that they are working really hard at it, compliment them. Because don't compliment them on their natural talent. Compliment somebody on the hard work they've done, that you know something that they've done and that they're improving on. And then, even though this is business leaders, this is still something in our lives, with our spouses, with our family, grandkids, kids. Believe Successful business leaders believe their teams will grow and flourish. So you can remember to believe that your family, your spouse, your grandchildren, your church, your associations, the people that you are with, that they are going to grow and flourish. And if you think that way and encourage it and speak it out, it's more apt to happen because great expectations really do come true. That's food for sugar. Makes medicine go down. So, conformity. Now, I'm sharing this on social pressure just so that you are aware. Because I know that you don't create social pressure, okay? They tell us that teams, the most successful teams are those that have the top performers, the middle performers, and the weak performers. So if you're in a group and you have some people that are really good at something, but not something else, try to group people together in groups of 3 or, on how they do things. That could be in a church, that could be an organization, that could be family. And then positive and negative social pressures can create problems. We hear a lot on the newsstand and the newspaper that something is trendy, so it's trending up. When you hear that word, they want you to listen because they want you to know that the trend is bringing newness and that you need to be part of this so that when it's really popular, you're in the know. You're like everyone else. Again, it's social pressure. So when you hear the word trendy, something that's trending up. Okay. Here's what they're doing like in hotels. Okay, listen to this. 75% of the guests use towels more than one day, and they put this little sign in the bathroom. There's an 18% upward change in the behavior. But if you write the sentence like you're all a peer group and you're all part of the same group, you're feeling like you want to be seen with other people. They say this: most guests who stay in this very room reuse towels daily. The change was 33%. So when you personalize something and say in this very room, the guests who stayed in the room you stayed in. So how can you use that in your organization? How can you use that? Why do they use heroes? Why do they have the superstars? Why do they have certain people sell things? Because they want them to be the social group that you're part of. They want identity. And when you do that, most guests who stayed in this very room, I could say most people who came to this book for lunch, blah, 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 and then the change could be up 33%. Okay, so those are just some things. There's another thing regarding, and I think it's happening on TV, I think it's happening in the politics today, and it bothers me, and I'm hoping that maybe because of what's happening, it may slip eventually, it won't be as impact us quite as much. So, reminders. If they pick up the phone and say you're gonna vote, and they remind you the day before, it'll probably be 2% rise, okay? If they come up and they call you and say, are you gonna vote? And if you don't vote, we're just gonna announce how many people in your neighborhood voted. So 75% of you voted. There's a 4.9% rise. But if they threaten someone and say, I'm gonna report if you voted, when you voted, how you voted, there's an 8.1 rise in the change of voting. To me, that's very coercive to me in that way. So I'm hoping that some of this political pushback and all this kind of stuff, this kind of makes people not be pushed so hard on this coercion, because I really do think that's kind of bad. We don't want to do that in America. And so if you hear some of that, that's part of why they're doing it. That's why you see it on TV. That's why you see it in the newspaper. That's why you see it in social media, because they're trying to get people to conform to what they want you to do. And I'm not on one side of the stick or the other. I'm just saying that's what's happening. That's the science. That's why they're doing what they're doing, because it's effective. So if you don't want it to be effective, then you don't respond. That's my best guess and my best thing. Okay, so at the end, changing for good, diagnose your internal obstacles, your personal ones. Don't diagnose Judy's or mine or Loretta's, but yours. And remember, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, and it makes change enjoyable. Your answer will differ from another person. I can do something, what you do, or what you want to do. And also, there really is no easy way to change. You just have to do it. But if you can make it enjoyable, it'll be better. Being consistent in making habits helps, but you also have to be a little flexible. And then the shorter the program, or the shorter the time that you make a habit, the more apt it is to go away. And then remember to get a coach or a mentor, or someone that you can buddy up with. And then if you fall off a habit or change or something that you did, and you realize, oh, I really blew that. Forget that, just say, I'm going to start over again. So there might be a reason, maybe like I had something that I did in my shoulders, it's sore, so I haven't been doing my weightlifting. I've been doing some of my exercises, but I can't do some of my weights. I'm about to a place where I can, so I'm going to get back in the habit of doing my weights on my shoulders. I may do weights on other things, but not that. So I had to get back on that because I had an issue, and it's now getting better. So that's an example of how you make a change when you get back to it. So I would like to say happy New Year to you, and I hope that any change you decide to want to make this year, you are successful. And if not, say the best you could, and then try again, or do something else. If that wasn't good for you, then try something else, and enjoy your life, and enjoy doing it with other people. Happy New Year. Any experiences you might want to change, want to tell me about that. Oh, I know one thing I didn't tell you about this book. This book is called The 12 Monotasks. So as I was reading this book about her saying, go and read a book, bicycle, I'm reading this book also that says, oh, do one task at a time. You have to understand there are many ways to do something. She wants you to do several. This guy wants you to concentrate because it gives you better clarity in the frontal part of your brain. So read this and read that, and read this, and figure out what's best for you. I have no, it's all about what's best for you. But there are some things I know that's true. Just do one thing at a time. And then there's other things that you can task on. So here we go.